You think being pushed aside hurts? Wait until you find out what he did to his own blood. Please like and subscribe for more dramatic K-drama stories. The doors of Kong Group headquarters slid open and silence swept through the lobby. Ha-Eun Park walked in with a boy at her side. Min-jae, 12, calm, sharp-eyed, unmistakably someone important. She didn't wait, she didn't hesitate. She simply said, "I'm here to see CEO Kang Dae-hyun." Moments later, she stepped into the executive boardroom uninvited. And there he was. Kang Dae-hyun. Her first love, her worst mistake. The man getting married in 3 days. He froze when he saw her, then froze again when he saw the boy. Min-jae bowed politely. "Good morning." The room whisper shattered. Dae-hyun tried to speak. "Is he?" "No," Ha-Eun cut in softly. "You gave up that right years ago." Min-jae kept his gaze steady, far too mature for 12. "My mother wanted closure." "That's all," he said quietly. Dae-hyun straightened his suit, pride snapping back in. "I don't want a DNA test. I don't want." But Min-jae simply bowed again. "You don't matter to me anymore." It hit harder than any shout. Ha-Eun touched his shoulder. "Let's go." They turned and left as the board whispered behind them. "He looks exactly like him. Why refuse a DNA test? Is this the scandal they hid?" The elevator doors closed on Ha-Eun and her son. Dae-hyun took one step forward. But it was already too late. The past he tried to bury had just walked back into his empire, with the power to destroy it. Like and share to stay updated. The moment Ha-Eun and Min-jae left the building, chaos erupted inside Kong Group. Executives whispered. Assistants froze. Everyone had seen the boy, and the resemblance. But CEO Kang Dae-hyun locked himself in his office. No DNA test. No questions. No responsibility. Just denial. His fiancée Jia stormed in. "That boy looks exactly like you," she snapped. Dae-hyun stared at the window instead of her. "He's not mine." Even he didn't believe that. Across the city, Min-jae sat quietly in the car. "He didn't want me," he said softly. Ha-Eun reached for his hand, but before she could speak, Han Ju-won opened their front door. "Welcome home," he said with a gentle smile. Min-jae stepped inside without hesitation. He already knew who his real father figure was. Back in the high-rise office, Dae-hyun pressed trembling hands against his desk. One sentence haunted him. "You gave up that right years ago." And for the first time, he felt something crack inside. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The next morning, Kong Group's boardroom was already in panic mode. Screens lit up with news headlines. Han Ju-won seen with unknown child, possible successor? Is Kong Group losing its power? And there, in the center of every photo, was Min-jae. Calm, confident, unbothered. He looked nothing like a scandal. He looked like a future CEO. Meanwhile, on the rival side of the city, Min-jae sat beside Han Ju-won in the company car, flipping through documents with the focus of someone twice his age. Ju-won glanced at him. "You're not just my son," he said softly. "You're the future of Han Industries." Min-jae nodded once. Across town, Dae-hyun stared at a paused news clip of the boy. His own eyes. His own posture. His own presence. The resemblance was undeniable. But instead of accepting it, he slammed the laptop shut. "He's not my son," he growled. His mother entered the room, cold and composed. "That boy is a threat," she said. "And threats must be handled." Dae-hyun didn't respond. He just stared out the window, jaw tight, pride rotting inside him. Because the world had already chosen its side. And the boy he rejected had just become his biggest rival. Rumors spread faster than truth. By noon, every major business network was replaying the same headline. Han Industries' young heir shakes the market. Behind the scenes, no one knew the real twist. The Han heir was actually Kong Dae-hyun's child. Inside the Kong mansion, Madame Kong watched the news with narrowed eyes. "That boy is dangerous," she said coldly. "Ju-won is preparing him to take everything from us." Dae-hyun didn't answer. He couldn't stop thinking about Min-jae's face in the boardroom. Those eyes. Those mannerisms. They haunted him. But his mother leaned closer. "Remove the problem while he's still small. Before he grows into something we can't control." Dae-hyun's grip tightened on his glass. Meanwhile, across the city, Min-jae walked beside Ju-won in the bustling lobby of Han Industries. Employees greeted him warmly, bowing with respect. "Welcome, young master." He didn't react, but he heard every word. Ha-Eun watched from a distance, her heart swelling. Her son finally had a place he belonged, a place where he wasn't a secret or a shame. But in the shadows of the Kong Empire, Madame Kong made a call. "Find out everything about the boy," she whispered. "And make sure he stays far away from this family's future." Dae-hyun closed his eyes. He didn't stop her. He didn't defend his own son. And that silence was the biggest betrayal of all. While the Kong family obsessed over the rival heir, another secret was rotting their empire from the inside. Yoon Ji-ah, Dae-hyun's flawless, picture-perfect fiancée, wasn't as perfect as she appeared. Behind closed doors, behind tinted office glass, she was spending far too much time with someone else. Dae-hyun's own secretary. The one man he trusted with everything. Late-night meetings. Closed-door wedding planning. Too many whispers. Too many excuses. Everyone in the office sensed it. Everyone except Dae-hyun. He was too busy denying the son who looked exactly like him to notice the betrayal standing right beside him. One afternoon, Ji-ah left Dae-hyun's office with a bright smile, claiming she was going to finalize wedding designs. Minutes later, she slipped into the private elevator with the secretary. Their hands brushed. Their laughter was too soft. Their closeness too familiar. The receptionist looked away quickly. Security guards exchanged silent glances. Rumors began to build. Meanwhile, across the city, Min-jae was practicing presentation skills with Ju-won, already learning how to lead Han Industries one day. Ha-Eun watched proudly, unaware of the chaos beginning to crack the Kong Empire. But fate was folding inward. The Kong family believed Min-jae was their biggest threat. They had no idea. The real betrayal was sleeping in the CEO's penthouse, wearing his engagement ring, while the Kong Empire trembled under secrets and pride. Ha-Eun's home was calm, warm, and whole. At the Han estate, Min-jae sat at a long table with documents spread before him. Not childish worksheets, but beginner leadership exercises Ju-won designed just for him. "Focus on what matters," Han Ju-won said gently, guiding the boy's hand. "Not on the people who walked away." Min-jae nodded. He understood that line far more deeply than a 12-year-old should. Ha-Eun quietly watched from the doorway. The boy she raised alone, finally surrounded by stability, opportunity, dignity. She didn't need the Kong family. Her son didn't either. Later that evening, Ju-won joined her on the balcony. "You protected him alone for 12 years, he said. "You don't have to do that alone anymore." Ha-Eun looked down at her hands, hands that had once shaken while holding a newborn she thought she'd raise in fear. But now, Min-jae had a home. A future. A father figure who guided instead of destroyed. She exhaled softly. "Thank you for loving him the way he deserves." Ju-won shook his head. "I'm only giving him what someone else threw away." Across the city, at the Kong penthouse, Dae-hyun sat alone at his dinner table. Ji-ah nowhere to be found. His mother ranting over headlines. His father blaming the market drop on distractions. His hands were cold. His food untouched. And for the first time, he wondered, What if the boy truly was mine? He pushed that thought away quickly. But it kept coming back. Like a truth that refused to stay buried. Meanwhile, Min-jae laughed at something Ju-won said. A rare, bright sound that filled the house. Ha-Eun smiled. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't pity. This was the life her son deserved. One the Kong family could never have given him. It happened on a night Dae-hyun least expected. He stayed late at the office, trying to drown thoughts of the boy who looked too much like him. Everyone had gone home. Or so he thought. As he walked toward his private lounge, a soft laugh drifted through the hallway. Ji-ah's laugh. And a man's voice answering her. He frowned. That door was supposed to be locked. He pushed it open. And froze. Ji-ah was in the arms of his secretary. Laughing. Kissing. Breathless. His world didn't break slowly. It shattered instantly. They jumped apart, panic flooding their faces. Dae-hyun, wait, Ji-ah stuttered. But he couldn't hear her. He could only hear the blood pounding in his ears. His secretary bowed deeply, shaking. Sir, I can explain. Get out, Dae-hyun hissed. His voice was low, dangerous, nothing like the CEO the world admired. The man fled. Ji-ah reached for Dae-hyun's arm. Her perfect mask finally slipping. It meant nothing, you've been distant, your mother, the company. Dae-hyun stepped back like her touch burned him. 3 days before our wedding, he whispered. And you're doing this? Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't move him. He walked out slowly. Each step heavier than the last. Each breath filled with the sour taste of betrayal. But fate wasn't finished with him. At the elevator, his phone buzzed. A message from the legal department. Urgent, regarding the child from earlier. You need to see this. He opened the file. And his breath caught. It wasn't a test. It wasn't DNA. It was worse. A photo of himself at 12. Placed right beside Min-jae's photo at 12. Same eyes. Same jawline. Same posture. No science needed. No test required. The truth stared back at him. The boy he rejected was his own son. His legs almost gave out. Tonight he lost his fiancée. His pride. His certainty. And now the truth he'd run from finally caught him. Dae-hyun didn't sleep. He spent the entire night staring at the photos the legal team sent him. His 12-year-old face. Beside Min-jae's. He didn't need a test. He didn't need science. He knew. Still, by morning, he walked into the hospital and demanded one anyway. Not for answers. But for denial. Minutes later, the envelope was handed to him. He opened it in the hallway. One line. 99.9% paternity match. His hands went numb. All the pride. All the arrogance. All the years of pretending. Collapsed in an instant. He had rejected his own son. Treated him like a threat. Allowed his mother to hunt him like an enemy. And now the truth stood taller than his entire empire. Meanwhile, across town, Min-jae laughed over breakfast with Ha-Eun and Ju-won. Happy, safe, loved. Dae-hyun sank to a bench outside the hospital. Face buried in his palms. The company was slipping. His fiancée was gone. His reputation was cracking. And now this. He had destroyed the only thing that could have ever saved him. The news broke before Dae-hyun could hide it. Not the DNA test. But everything else. His fiancée's affair. His collapsing stock value. His sudden absence from board meetings. Within hours, shareholders demanded an emergency vote. Inside the boardroom, Dae-hyun stood alone while his father glared at him. And his mother whispered excuses that no one believed. "We trusted you," his father growled. "You let this company burn." Dae-hyun tried to speak. But the board had already decided. CEO Kang Dae-hyun, you are hereby removed from your position. The words hit harder than any blow. His empire, the kingdom he built his entire identity on, was stripped away in minutes. As security escorted him out, phones flashed, reporters shouted, and employees looked at him with pity. He had nothing left to stand on. Not power. Not reputation. Not family. His mother refused to meet his eyes. His father walked away without a word. In the quiet outside the building, Dae-hyun finally whispered the truth he should have said years ago. "I lost my son." But the world didn't pause for him. Life moved on. Across the city, Ha-Eun, Min-jae, and Ju-won enjoyed a peaceful dinner. Laughing, warm, whole. The family Dae-hyun abandoned was the family he could never get back. Because karma didn't just knock. It took everything he once valued. Weeks passed. The world moved on. But Kang Dae-hyun didn't. He stood outside the building he once ruled, watching another man take his place. Watching the company logo he built shine without him. His phone never rang. His mother refused to speak to him. His father blamed him for everything. And every headline felt like a punch. Former CEO Kang falls from power. Han Industries' young heir gains attention. That last one hurt the most. Because the boy in the photo, the confident, steady-eyed 12-year-old, was the same child he rejected. Meanwhile, across town, Ha-Eun, Ju-won, and Min-jae walked through the quiet gardens of the Han estate after dinner. Ju-won ruffled Min-jae's hair. "Ready for training tomorrow?" he asked. Min-jae grinned. "Yes, Dad." Ha-Eun's smile softened. Those two words were all she ever wanted to hear. She had spent 12 years alone. But now she had a partner who respected her. A home built on peace. And a son raised with pride. A real family. A whole family. Later that evening, Min-jae asked quietly, "Will he ever come back?" Ha-Eun shook her head gently. "He made his choices. We don't owe him anything." Ju-won placed a hand on her back. And another on Min-jae's shoulder. "You both have a future," he said. "A good one. A safe one. That's all that matters." From the outside gate, unseen in the shadows, Dae-hyun stood watching. Broken, silent, trembling. He saw his son laugh. He saw Ha-Eun's happiness. He saw Ju-won's steady, protective embrace. And reality hit him harder than any board vote. He wasn't part of that world. He never would be. He stepped back into the night, whispering the truth too late. "I lost everything." Ha-Eun closed the door, not knowing he was there, and not needing to. Her life no longer revolved around pain. Only healing. Only love. Only the family that stayed. The end. Does Dae-hyun still have a chance at repentance? Drop a comment in the box below. Please like, subscribe and follow for more of this kind of vibe.